Hello. Tonight we're here to talk about renaming digital photos. And boy, that is a topic that has been a source of consternation and opportunities. So I just want to welcome everybody who's here live with me on Facebook and YouTube. If you are here, definitely say hi and let me know where you're from. And if you're watching this on the replay, you can definitely post a question and I'll still be responding to it. So we probably have all changed digital photos, our names, the names of them at some point along the way, whether it was to add a description or to change a nonsensical file name to something that we liked to look at. But we want to make sure that you are renaming photos the right way. So before we get started, we have a little bit of housekeeping here. So my name is Molly. I'm the owner of Pixologie, and I help people go from overwhelmed and frustrated with their pictures to being confident and motivated to get those pictures systematically organized so that you can enjoy them, share them, and know that they're preserved for future generations. And I am here because sometimes it's so hard to find an answer online that makes sense and has been tested, and that you can feel confident of where the information's coming from. So I do want to point out that renaming pictures is just one small part of organizing photos. And if you need help with that, I definitely would love to talk with you. I have a link in the comments, and I have an 8-week course coming up. So that might be something that may be of use to you. All right, so renaming photos. In tonight's class, we're going to talk about a few things. So I'm going to put up a screen here and talk about the formula for renaming photos. I'm going to tell you how we do it here at Pixologie. We actually focus more on the naming of folders than we do of pictures, but we do have a formula for it. I'm also going to share how to rename photos on a Mac, which is so easy. Then I'll talk about renaming photos on a PC. And there is an easy way to do it, but it is not the right way. So I have an alternative for batch renaming pictures on a PC so that the photos are numbered in a better way. Now, normally in my system of saving photos, I mentioned before, I don't focus on renaming individual pictures. I feel like that can be a rabbit hole and take up more time, and it's hard to keep up with it. So that's why I like to focus on folder naming instead of renaming individual pictures. But there is an instance where renaming pictures is really useful, and it's Facebook photos. If you've ever downloaded pictures from Facebook, you know that it gets a weird name. I do really recommend that people absolutely get the original picture instead of downloading them from Facebook, because the downloaded photo is probably going to be very compressed, poor quality, and it will not have the metadata. So the date won't be right. It'll be the date you downloaded it. And it's better to have the original if at all possible. Now, in some cases, you won't get the original and you need it. And I have like a really good example here. This is from Facebook. I was tagged in a picture, and this is me at a karaoke bar. And the person who took it, I think, was from the bar or the karaoke company. There's no way I'm contacting that person to get that picture. But I want it because, whenever you have a picture and you're going out on a limb doing something like singing in front of a bar crowd, that's kind of a significant life moment. So I downloaded it along with a few other pictures. And this is what the naming looks like when you download pictures from Facebook. So in addition to having small, poor quality copies of your pictures, they also are named something really funny. I don't know why Facebook hasn't fixed this. Like, who would ever think this was okay, right? So let's first talk now about the formula for naming digital pictures. the formula I have includes a prefix, a divider, and a counter. So the prefix is the description. So we have a spot for the year, the month, and the date, and a description. And then the underscore is the divider. And then the pound signs is what I call them. I know today's generation, they're hashtags, but there's 4 pound signs or hashtags that mark the spots for numbers to go. So it's the counter. And in the example that I have at the bottom, I just have a photo that's renamed 2021-12 December photos, the underscore, and it's photo number 1. Now, no one wants to go and rename pictures individually this way, so batch renaming is good. But we have to make sure with the batch renaming that we do that the counter looks right, okay? So this example, and I'll just make this bigger for a second, is an example of renaming photos that did not use a consistent way. So we have some with parentheses, some with 1 digit, 2 digits, 3 digits. And then we have the bottom third where it starts at 437. That's using the proper counter method. Okay. We want to have 4 digits usually is a safe number because that would be 9,999 photos if you renamed that many. Although I caution you on ever renaming, if you have a folder with 9,999 photos in it, it's time to break that up into smaller photos or folders. So this is the problem. We don't want parentheses. We want it to be consistent. So with that being said, we are going to look at the Mac because the Mac has a really easy way to do this. And what I have showing here is I'm in my Finder on my Mac. If you look at the bottom, you can see I'm on the desktop, photos to organize, and I'm in the road trip folder. Okay, and I can see I've got pictures here that, whoops, I opened the wrong thing. I always do that. All right. We want to open the Finder. And here we are. I have I just want to make sure we're all looking at the same thing. Okay. So I have 266 pictures in here. And the first batch here, the first 4 are shared from someone else with a different naming format. The next 4 have a longer name. Did I download those from Facebook? I might have, don't remember. But then the rest of these look like the pictures I took on the trip. So on a Mac, you just select one and then you hold the command key down, and click the A, and that selects all. Then you hold the control key down and you click on a picture and you go to rename. So hold the control key down and then click to get the menu of options and select rename. And here you can see I've already got the custom format in there. We want a name and a counter, and I've entered the name. I usually name my pictures the same as what the folder is in. I know some of the people that I have taught will name smaller batches of pictures, what they want, and that's fine. But for our purposes, here you can see I added that underscore. So when I backspace, you can see how the example looks. I think the underscore, having a divider, is just really helpful for visually looking at your pictures. There also is an option for where, and you want to make sure that's on after name. If it's on before the name, well, we don't want all of those zeros, right? So not at the beginning. We want them after the name. So I click rename and it is done. It is that easy. So I really, really like that on a Mac. But we don't all have Macs, do we? So those of us who are on PCs have a different challenge. So I am going to just bring up the PC view here. And we are in the 2021-12 December photos. So this was the batch of pictures I took on my phone back in December, and I've copied them to my master family photos folder. If you look across the top, and you can see that, and then 2021 photos, and then December photos. So they have the camera, whatever number that came off my camera, that's all set. Now, when I select one on a PC, it's Control A to select all. And I, again, will right click and go down to rename. And so I'll just use my formula to the 2021-12 December photos. I won't put the underscore in, and you'll see why in a second. So I just put what I would call the prefix in. And now when I hit the enter button, it renamed all those photos, and it looks really good. Like you have, the parentheses kind of looks clean. And, when you look at it in the details view, it looks nice. The problem is like I mentioned before, parentheses are never a good long-term solution. So I know that people have spent a lot of time on, trying to figure it all out. And, and some people have spent a lot of time renaming their photos. And man, it's so frustrating when you come to the situation and you realize maybe I should have done something differently. And, that's why I'm here teaching this, because I think people need to know this. So I have to tell you, I searched and searched for the right program, because honestly, there's a lot of factors to consider. You want it to be easy. You'd like it to be free. Free is good. And definitely you don't want to have to pay a renewing subscription for it. And then when you download it, you want to know you're downloading something that's safe, right? So I reviewed quite a few. So I went through a lot of them, and I tested them, and I uninstalled a lot, and some of them were just hard to look at, and I knew it wouldn't be fun to work on them. So it was so frustrating. This program, you had to download 2 things onto your computer and able to use it. It was free, but when you have to download 2 things and have a login, that's like a deal killer. We need something that's simple. And honestly, I was getting to the end of my rope last weekend, and I'm not one to like share my low moments, because I'm a pretty positive person, but it was a low moment. I'm like, I am never going to find the right solution for people. And I had a moment. I drove to a park and I sat there and I said, dear Lord, could you please make this a little easier for me? Because if I'm struggling, you have to figure people are out there struggling too. So you don't need to see that picture anymore. I was really excited to find a program called XNView MP. Now, I know this probably looks a little complicated, the screenshot that I have on it, but with any program, if you know like the 5 things that you need to do to get something done in it, it can really help. So I think I've got this down to a pretty simple thing. You have to go to xnviewmp.com, and I have a link for it in the comments, and download the program. And what I'm going to do next is actually share the program, because I have, whoops, we don't want that. We have to exit this. Always trying to manage all of the little things going on here. So here we are. I'm live in the program, and I'm actually in the folder that I told you before that we looked at, 2021-12 December photos. You can see that across the top. Knowing which folder you're in and how to get to it is really important. And I teach this in my 8-week course, because so many times we're just doing the bare minimum on our computer that we don't know the tips and tricks of getting to things. But knowing your folders is important. So I'm in that 2021-12 December photos folder. These are all the pictures that I just renamed with those darn parentheses. and we're going to fix that. So what you need to know about XNV, this program is it is a file viewer, a photo viewer, okay? And what that means is it's looking at your actual pictures in the folders. It's not a photo management program, although you can do some of the same things with it. It's a viewer. So when I make changes here, it's changing the picture right in its folder. On the left-hand side, there is what I call the navigation pane, and it should look somewhat familiar to you. You have all of these folders that are typical. I have the master family and the photos to organize folder for quick access. And you can use that to find where your folder of pictures are that you want to change the name on. So I've got to that folder, and I'm going to click the first one. And I will point out there are many other things you can do in here, but all we're going to do is find the folder of pictures. We're going to select one, and then again do Control A to select all. So handy, okay? And then we right click and go down to Batch Rename, okay? And all we need to do is look at the top and see name template. So I can uncheck that or I can check it. When it's checked, it saves your changes from the last time. So here I have my prefix that I want those pictures to have, the 2021-12 December photos. I have the divider, I typed that in, and then I typed in a £sign or hashtag for each place that I wanted there to be for the counter. So I wanted four spaces for the counter. And what's really awesome is at the bottom, you can see the old name and you can see what the new name will be. And this is exactly what I want. And you should notice here, do you see how there's parentheses? The 1, and then it's 10, 11, 12, 13. This is the exact problem I was telling you about. When you name things with parentheses, they don't sort right in some programs. So we need to change these to be the correct number. So I'm going to click OK. And now the photos changed in this view. And when I go back to my File Explorer, you can see these pictures now are organized and they're named with that four-digit counter. So this looks just as neat as with the parentheses, and it actually will be much more functional long term. So XNView, I was really excited when I finally figured out the 4 hashtags and how that works. I thought I've got a solution that I think can work for people. And that's all you have to do. It's really simple if you know what buttons to push in the program. So it's really just selecting all of them and then right clicking to get the batch rename, and you can go from there. So I definitely want to know if you have questions about renaming photos, put them in the comments because I'll answer them now. And I would, love to know, what struggles you've had, or if any. Maybe you haven't even thought about this before, because honestly, sometimes I do think, people don't think about doing much with their pictures until they have an urgent need for a family gathering or for, God forbid, a funeral, and all of this stuff. Having the photos organized in a way that you can find things quickly for when you need them, like for a happy occasion, a birthday. My mother-in-law just had her 90th birthday last week, and I had pictures for her work people that she was celebrating with from working at a medical lab for 40 years, and then we had the family pictures. I could pull them up real quick. So I just want to tell you that I am here to be a resource for you. There's plenty of videos on the YouTube channel to get you going. And I'm not seeing any questions, so I'm thinking maybe I answered everything and you are all good, or you're too stunned to figure out what you should ask. And I'm not sure. I'll just go on the on the positive side and think everything's good. I want you to know that if you have photo organizing challenges, I'm here. I've got a link that you can look at in the comments. And Michelle did ask a question here. Let's see if I can actually show it. This is a great question. Can't you do all of the same things in Mylio? Yes, Mylio is a photo management program. Okay, and I love it. I think it works really well. But people sometimes need something simple to start off with. So I wanted to just have something that you could use right in your folders. Milo is a photo management program, and there you can go on YouTube if people want to know about that program. I think it's a great option, but you want to be thoughtful about how you're using photo management programs as well. So Michelle, thank you for the question. You can do this, and there is you just select a bunch of pictures, and then you can right click and then rename, and then Mylio has even more powerful renaming tools that you can use. So that is a great question. All right. If there aren't any other questions, please feel free to reach out. I try to respond to comments. And if you've got a question, throw it out there, because chances are you are not the only one with the question, and you might help someone else who's struggling as well. So Michelle said thank you, and thank you, Michelle, for answering or asking the question, because I was like wondering, is anyone out there? But I know there's people watching, and there will be people on the review, to watch this in the future. I'm here for you as well. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm going to try to do another live Q&A maybe next week, Wednesday. So if you've got a question out there, get it over to me, and maybe I'll be answering that one next. Take care. Thank you.